Hi guys, welcome to the Mighty Miss Malone. We are on chapter 16 together today, but before we get started, I just have to say, I was getting ready to record and then my doorbell rang and I am so excited because my lunch was delivered. And I think I've said in a previous video for parents who will be confused by this, but my students have called me this year an herbivore or a plant eater because I don't really eat meat. And I am so excited about this. I'm trying out a new Vietnamese local restaurant. Oh, what's it called? I already forgot what it's called. Saigon Noodle Bar. And I cannot wait. I got vegetarian pho with tofu. And I just can't wait to eat this when we're done recording. I also got some vegetarian spring rolls and some boba tea. So I'll probably be sipping on this while I read chapter 16 of The Mighty Miss Malone with you today. I am just very excited. I have been looking, not that you care, but I've been looking for a boba tea provider here in the Cincinnati area for years now. And I don't know if this is a new restaurant or not, but when it popped up on online, I had to give it a try, and it is good. I love boba tea. All right, I digress. Sorry about that, guys. I'm just excited. Do you get excited about food ever? I do. I don't eat out often. Usually I make food at home, so when I get to eat out, it's very exciting for Mrs. Keller. Anyways, chapter 16 is where we will be today. This chapter is called Back in the Lake Myth Again. Why do you think it's called that? Are they making fun of Father's Lisp again? Back in Lake Myth again. Messed up. I couldn't sleep that night. I just couldn't ignore the voices coming through the wall from my father and mother's bedroom. They'd started out whispering, but their voices were getting louder. Mother's was the loudest. That's not true, I heard Mrs. Cardsdale say. Father said, what choice do I have? It'll be better for us all in the long run. I shouldn't have been eavesdropping, but the sound of your parents' voices being so frightened is something you can't pull away from. And I'd never heard Mother and Father argue before. Margaret, what can I do? How can I say to my babies when there's no work anymore? Didn't you tell me that they were even making Old Man Cardsdale take a pay cut? And if the white president of a bank is having his pay cut, what chance do I have? Look at me. Look at this mouth. I couldn't find work when my face was whole. Who'd hire someone with a busted off snaggle-toothed mouth? What chance do I have to find enough work to buy even a loaf of bread? Roscoe, listen. No one's starving here. The welfare food is good enough until Father raised his voice, which is something he usually did only if he was happy. I don't think he was happy, though. Welfare food? How low have we gone that being fed by welfare is normal for us? I heard Jimmy and that Obgrim boy talking the other day, and the boy asked Jimmy what kind of cheese was on his sandwich. Jimmy said, yellow cheese, and the boy said, no, what brand is it? Do you know what Jimmy said? He told him, I don't know, I guess it's not to be sold cheese. Peg, it's gotten so bad that our son thinks that the label they stamp on all the welfare food is a brand name. Mother said, well, Jimmy is, I don't know. Jimmy is Jimmy. Father said, even the welfare food isn't enough for all of us. I feel as though every bite I take is one less for the rest of you. I might as well reach into your mouths and pull it out. No, Roscoe, no. And I don't think I see that you eat next to, and you don't think I see that you eat next to nothing? You don't think I noticed that? Mother snapped. You're the one who refuses to eat anything. I told you I eat plenty at the Cardsdales. Father's voice got softer. Peg, haven't you noticed? Haven't you even looked in the mirror? Sweetheart, you're the most beautiful woman I have ever seen, but darling, what is this? Their room went quiet. Father said, since when did your cheekbones stick out like this? And why do your clothes hang on you now? There was a long pause before Mother laughed. Me? What about you? If your legs get any skinnier, we'll have to use tape to hold your socks up. When I heard Father laugh, I relaxed a little. but a little too soon. Peg, I can't do it. I'll find work back in Flint. I know folks there. There'll be something for me. I can't blame anyone in Gary for not helping. In tough times, people tend to look after their own. I'll send money once I'm settled. I'll send for you. Mother said, oh, Roscoe Malone, do you know how many women and children have heard some version of those words and it turns out to be the last thing they hear from their husbands or fathers ever? Peg, you know me. I give you my word. But what if that's not enough? What if this depression goes on for so long that you can't find work even in Flint? What good is your word then, Roscoe? Roscoe, we're at our strongest when we're all together. When we're a family. If you leave, how long do you think it'll be before Jimmy goes? What about when I lose Deza? You're making it sound like this is something I want to do, Peg. Do you have any idea how it rips me apart just to come home every day? Every day I go out and there's nothing. Nothing but a city full of other men no one needs. Where the next person is desperate enough to work for less than the last person. I just can't do it anymore. There have been evenings where I've stood at the front door for 15, 20 minutes, too ashamed to go in. Too ashamed to have anything in my hands, nothing in my hands but my hat. Mother said, why are you taking this so personal? You have nothing to be ashamed of, Roscoe. No one has work. No one has food. Father said, maybe you're right. Maybe it's not to shame. Maybe it's fear. Maybe I'm afraid that one day I'll come here and see the loving concern on all your faces, see the way you and the kids work so hard to make me feel better, and I'll lose my mind. I'll be so hurt, so angry, so desperate that I'll go out in the streets and do something horrible. Something to get food or coal or clothes, something that would allow me to feed my family, something that would allow me to feel like a human being and not some animal in a zoo waiting for a handout. What kind of world is it when even I can find work, and even when you work 40 hours, we still can't afford to have our babies looked after properly? Roscoe, we have to have patience. Patience, patience. Do you have any idea how it kills me to come in that door and see my boy and know that he's stopped growing? To know that all we can afford is to take him to Doc Taylor, a man who's so old and stuck in his ways that he probably delivered George Washington. Roscoe, listen. No. Do you know what I automatically do every day when Deza runs up to me to give me a hug and a kiss? Do you know I find myself turning my face or breathing out of my mouth the minute I'm close to her? Do you know why? Mother said softly, oh, Roscoe, no, don't say that. I stopped breathing. Father said, it's true, Peg. You don't want to hear it. I don't want to say it, but it's the truth. I found I can't breathe out of my nose when I'm near Deza because of the smell of her teeth. How sick is that? How pathetic am I that I can't even breathe normally around my own child? The room was quiet for a full minute. Tears stung my eyes. I tried to stop listening, but Father said, and I know you, Peg. I know you're going through the same thing. We both know that the little brown-skinned angel is something beyond special. You know if there's any chance for the future, it's riding on her narrow shoulders. So you tell me how I can come home empty-handed knowing that my sassy, smart, beautiful, charming little girl, my mighty Miss Malone, is slowly rotting away on the inside, and we can't afford to have her teeth looked after. We can't even get them pulled. If I come home and see that spark that makes Deza so precious is gone, I will hate myself. Mother said, Roscoe, please, stop. Father said, I don't know which is worse, the smell of her rotting teeth or the smell of the camphor you get from those white people to soak in cotton. You get from those white people to soak in cotton and stick in her cavities. I'm at my wit's end. I cannot do it one more time. Peg, I'll end up killing someone. Mother said, this is not a good time for you to be deciding how something is done this big. Don't you see, dear? This is the horrible letdown of Joe losing that fight. This is you still grieving about your friends. You need to heal. You need to give it time. All I ask is for another couple of months. We've come this far together, and we need to stay together. Give it some time. I could hear Father jump up. I was surprised that he had his shoes on upstairs this late at night. They thudded over and over as he paced the bedroom. Time? What am I supposed to do? Should I tell Jimmy, son, hold on, we just need a little time before we can get you to a doctor who will tell us why you haven't grown in 3 years? What about Deza? What am I going to tell her? Am I going to tell her, hold on, darling, in another year or two we'll get those teeth taken care of. In the meantime, just snap the bad ones off at the roots. His pacing stopped. Roscoe, stop and listen to yourself. All we need is more time, and we don't have any more time, Peg. We've run out. Mother's tone changed. Oh, so since time's run out, your answer is for you to run out too. Then there was silence. I'm sorry. I'll have to go. All right, soon as I get settled. I love you. Their bedroom door opened and shut. I heard nothing from Mother. Father's shoes slowly clomped down the stairs. I ran to my bedroom door and watched my father sinking down the staircase. He stopped at Jimmy's door, tapped twice, then went in. I slumped down in my doorway and waited for him to come out. I was surprised that my second brain was keeping so quiet. It's such a worthless brain. When you don't want to hear from it, it can't stop running its mouth. Times like this when you could use some noise to drown everything out, or when you'd appreciate a little advice about who you should hurt. That no-good brain chooses to be quiet. I can't say how long I waited in the doorway. Jimmy's door came open, and Father looked back into the room. I love you, son. I'll send for you. You'll like Flint. I can't say how long it's going to take, but I promise we'll be back together. He closed the door and stopped to lean against the railing. I started crawling into my room. I know Father. He was coming to see me next. I wasn't halfway into the room when I heard Jimmy's door come open. Father must have turned around and gone back to tell Jimmy something else. I slipped back to look down the steps. It was Jimmy who had opened the door. He threw himself at Father and wrapped his arms around Father's waist from behind. Daddy, don't go, Jimmy cried into Father's back. I don't like school anyway. I can look for work, even when school starts back up. I can help with the bills. Just stay. Father pulled Jimmy off of his back, and the two of them slumped onto the steps. Jimmy was inconsolable. Father pulled him into his lap. What broke my heart was that Jimmy, who hated more than anything stuff that made him look small or weak or young, didn't stop Father as he cuddled him like a baby in his arms. Father kissed Jimmy's forehead and wiped at his tears. Son, son, son. I can do it, Daddy. I'll have the pie lady paid off in no time. Then I can get a job paying cash. Please give me a chance. Don't you remember what you call me? Father said, Of course I do, son. You're my genuine, gentle, jumpin' giant Jimmy. That's right, and don't forget about Deza. I bet she'll work too, even with all that reading and studying she does. I bet you that she'll find time to chip in too. With all four of us working, we can get good again. Go ask her. Ask her right now. She'll do it, Daddy. You know how she is. She is a champ. Father said, Yes, she is, Jimmy. But I explained it. And you promised me, son. I need all of you to look after things while I'm gone. I'm only asking because I know I can count on you. Jimmy scooted out of Father's lap and sat beside him. They wrapped their arms around each other. I promise, Father. Jimmy sniffed. And I'm just like you, a man of my word. I'll do everything you ask me to do. We'll look after each other, Pa, I swear. We'll be all right. I'll do what I have to do. And I won't tell a soul about what really happened out on... Father put his hand across Jimmy's mouth and stood up. Go try to get some sleep, son. I've got to say goodbye to Deza. What does that mean? What does that mean? I won't tell a soul about what really happened out on... Is he talking about Lake Michigan? That is the title of this chapter. What really happened? Why did he tell a lie earlier? Jimmy ran into his room and slammed the door. As I creeped back to my bed, the second brain finally decided to start. Oh God, kiddo, don't let him come say goodbye. Just let him leave. If he comes in here, I'll hurt him so bad. I closed my door, then crawled under my blanket. I pulled the pillow over my head, but still could hear the slow clomp, clomp, clomp of Father's feet coming up the steps. The sound stopped outside my room, and the longest time passed before he lightly tapped on the door. Deza? Pulled the pillow tighter over my head to stop him from seeing me, and to block the smell of my mouth. May I come in? I would never answer him. My door opened, and I heard a couple of clumps as Father came to me. He stood at the foot of my bed. Sweetheart, you awake? In my head, I said, no, go. Deza, I need to tell you something. I pulled the pillow tighter over my head, held my breath, and prayed that he'd leave. Father sighed and said, I will get us back together, Deza. Please take care of each other. I know it's hard, but we'll get this ship righted as soon as we can. He walked to the side of my bed, and I could feel him lean down. I kept holding my breath and squeezing my pillow tight on my head. He put his hand on the top of my pillow, but didn't tug it away. He said, remember, Dardwa, that kisses make you stronger. He pressed his face against my pillow 3 times and clomped to my door and down the steps. I squeezed the pillow to my head even harder. I could feel the spot where Father had put his wet face. I threw the pillow at the door as hard as I could. The second brain yelled, Quick, kiddo, push him down the steps. He'll break his legs and then he can't leave. I squeezed my jaws together so hard that little fairies of red-hot light shot out of my back teeth and bounced around inside of my skull. Something crunched and cracked inside of my mouth, and I got woozy. It worked. The bad brain finally shut up. I knew I could never hurt my father. I let out a cry and was surprised to see how much blood sprayed onto my pillowcase. I heard the front door open and close, and I was glad to see him go. Wow. So, do you think that Deza is really glad to see her father go, or is she just frustrated about the whole situation? Is she trying not to let herself get hurt? Let's go ahead over our questions for today. Number 1, what were mother and father arguing about before bed? A, the house being a mess. B, Jimmy always getting into trouble. C, nothing. D, Papa not being able to find work. Number 2, why does father want to go to Flint to find work? A, he can get a job and send money. B, he can get away from Gary. C, he doesn't want people to talk to him. Or D, he was tired of getting looks from people since the accident. Number 3, what is the setting of this chapter? So where does it take place? Does it take place in A, the store, B, the doctor's office, C, school, or D, the Malone home? Numbers 4 and 5 are our last questions for chapter 16. They're both extended responses. Make sure you have complete sentences. Number 4, how did father know that he had no other choice but to leave his family to find work? Try to find specific examples from the story. Why, in his mind, was there no other choice for him but to leave, to be able to find work? He gave some examples in the story if you need to rewind. Question 5. Here's the thing I asked when we finished the chapter. Do you think Deza was really glad? Was she actually happy to see her father go? Why do you think so, or why don't you agree? So yes, he was glad. She was actually glad to see her father go because blah, 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 blah. No, I don't think she actually was glad. I think she was just blah, 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 blah. Okay? Tomorrow is Thursday, so we'll read chapter 17 tomorrow. And then after that, we will wrap it up for the week with Friday going over this week's questions and answers. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I can't wait to dig into this Vietnamese food, and I hope you have a great night. I miss you so much. Mwah! Can't wait to see you in our Zoom on Friday. It can't get here soon enough. Bye.